All right, let's get right into it. For pretty much forever, the formula for getting good grades seemed obvious, right? Just put in more hours. But what if that whole idea is just wrong? Today, we're going to dig into the science that shows the best students aren't the ones who study the longest. Nope, they're the ones who study the smartest. So let me just ask you, straight up, what if all those late nights you've spent highlighting, rereading your notes, and cramming, what if they're actually the very things holding you back? You know, the difference between a good student and a truly great one often has nothing to do with effort. It's all about their method. I mean, we've all done this. You're sitting there for hours, surrounded by notes, your textbook is practically glowing with all that highlighter ink, and it feels so productive. But here's the thing. Cognitive science calls these habits low utility. They give you this false sense of knowing something, tricking your brain into thinking you've learned it, when really, you haven't. So what actually works? Well, we're about to fill in that column on the right. To get to what really works, we first have to bust the big myth. This idea that just passively looking at information somehow equals learning it. And look, this isn't just my opinion. A huge review of learning techniques back in 2013 was crystal clear about it. Rereading just doesn't make things stick. That feeling of, oh yeah, I remember this, is usually just your brain recognizing the look of the page, not actually recalling the information on it. And to understand why it fails so badly, we need to meet the real enemy of learning. So the real problem isn't that you're not motivated or that you're not smart enough. It's a universal, scientifically proven thing that happens inside every single one of our brains. It's called the forgetting curve. And what's wild about this is how brutally honest it is. Way back in the 1880s, a guy named Hermann Ebbinghaus figured out that our memory for new stuff just decays, like exponentially. Just look at that drop. It is incredibly steep right at the beginning. This isn't a personal flaw, it's just how we're wired. In fact, get this, within the first hour of learning something new, you can forget between 50 and 60% of it. Seriously, by the next day, it's probably even more. That's exactly why cramming all night for an exam feels so useless the next morning. So, how in the world do we fight this thing? Well, we fight it by working with our brain's natural wiring, not trying to brute force it. And this brings us to two of the most powerful, high-utility study techniques ever discovered. Okay, first up, active recall. So instead of passively reading something over and over, you actively have to pull it out of your own head. Think of it like a workout for your brain. Every single time you force yourself to remember a concept or a formula without looking at your notes, you're making that neural pathway stronger, making that memory easier to find the next time you need it. Our second hero technique is spaced repetition, and this is the direct counterpunch to that forgetting curve. Instead of cramming and reviewing something 10 times in one night, you review it at the perfect moment, right as it's about to slip from your memory. You space out your reviews at longer and longer intervals, maybe after one day, then 3 days, then a week, and so on. And this visual just nails it. On the left, you see that natural steep nosedive of your memory. That's the default. But on the right, that's the magic of spaced repetition. Every time you review the information, that's one of those little peaks, you flatten out the curve. You're literally forcing that information into your durable long-term memory. This is the secret. Okay, so the science is solid. The real question is, how do we actually apply these principles in our crazy modern world? Let's build the ultimate study toolkit for right now. So if spaced repetition is the method, then Anki is pretty much the perfect tool. It's basically a smart flashcard app built around one incredibly powerful algorithm that perfectly uses the forgetting curve. It literally shows you the exact flashcard you need to see right before you're about to forget it. It's insanely efficient for long-term retention, especially for subjects with tons of facts like medicine or law. But of course, having the perfect memory technique is totally useless if you can't sit down and actually focus long enough to use it. Let's be real, our biggest enemy today probably isn't forgetting, it's distraction. And for that, we have the Pomodoro technique. It was developed by a guy named Francisco Cirillo back in the 80s, and he used a simple kitchen timer shaped like a tomato, that's Pomodoro in Italian. The whole method is designed to get you into these intense, focused bursts of work with built-in breaks to keep you fresh. And the best part is how simple it is. You just pick one task, one. You set a timer for 25 minutes, and for those 25 minutes, you do nothing else. No phone, no email, just that one task. When the timer goes off, you take a quick 5-minute break. After about 4 of those cycles, you take a longer, more restorative break. It's a game changer for training your brain to focus. And just like Anki is the app for spaced repetition, apps like Forest basically gamify the Pomodoro technique. The idea is simple, but kind of brilliant. You plant a little virtual tree when you start your 25-minute focus session. If you stay on task and don't leave the app, your tree grows. But if you get distracted and switch apps, your little tree dies. It's a surprisingly powerful way to keep yourself accountable. So here's maybe the most important point of all. The best students don't just find one magic app and call it a day. They understand the core principles, and then they build a personalized system that works for them. We call this building a study stack. It's about being strategic. You combine different tools, maybe one for remembering facts, one for staying focused, one for organizing your research, to create a complete workflow that is perfectly tailored to what and how you need to study. And what's so cool here is you can see just how different these stacks can be. You know, a pre-med student's life might revolve around Anki because they have to memorize a mountain of information. But a humanities major, they might lean way more on something like Notion to organize complex arguments and Zotero for citations. There is no one-size-fits-all answer. It's all about finding the combo that powers your field. So look, the best study tools in the history of the world are available right now, and a lot of them are totally free. The science behind how we learn effectively has been proven over and over for decades. The variable isn't access to information anymore. It's about commitment. So the only real question left is the one you have to answer for yourself. What are you going to change tomorrow morning?